for those just joining us, Sean was in the military. You served in Afghanistan and some in Iraq as well, right?
Yes, sir.
And,
23 years.
And I want to ask you, because you spent some time with these people over there and you understand the culture better than most of us, and maybe not as good as somebody who actually grew up there. But I guess the question is, there are a lot of people who think that we're at war with the Muslims. In your mind, are we at war with the Muslims?
No, we're definitely not at war with the Muslims, and we're definitely not at war with Islam. We are at war with totalitarian idiots.
Right.
And we would do better, as I was saying before, instead of calling them jihadists, if we called them mufsidin, we would do better to refer to them as totalitarians rather than Islamic terrorists or totalitarian terrorists.
Because they love this term jihad because it glorifies what they're doing. We're just playing into that into their trap, right?
And there is no such thing as a benevolent totalitarian government. So
right.
you know that automatically brings a negative connotation.
But do you think most of these people are sympathetic to what the terrorists are doing, or most of them are not?
Well, most of them don't know. That's the problem. When I said 40 is a lot,
mm-hmm.
If you ask the average Afghani how many people died in 9/11 in New York City, 40.
It's just a lot. 40 to them means
40.
a lot. Yeah.
But 40 is the number of people in my little village, which could be 30 people or 100 people. But that's all they think died. And then, of course, Americans come over here and bomb half the countryside, just like the Russians did. Oh, well, they're just like them. And, of course, you've got your local news. If your local media is telling you that these are evil people come to take us over, well, it looks just like the Russians were doing it. So, and I think Stan McChrystal had a really good idea of us trying to win hearts and minds over there. And, yeah, everybody calls him Stan now, but I never would have when I was in uniform.
Yeah, no kidding.
General McChrystal, who I've had the pleasure of working with in the past, is a heck of a guy. And he had the right idea. Get rid of the Burger Kings in our joints and get us out among the people, because it's the only way we are going to understand them and they are going to understand us.
Right.
And it's always going to be a lot of we agree not to understand one another, but we can get along. As people, they're great folks, just like the Iranians. The Iranians are great folks as people. It's the whole country thing going on over there that gets it goofed up. But Persians are awesome folks.
But that's what I think, Sean. I mean, and this is where we get back to this whole mosque thing that has become quite the controversy, is that people assume that we're at war with Islam, and we're not. And I don't think we want to pick that fight. So I got an email from somebody who says, "Oh, you're just trying to get along." The whole my stand on this mosque thing has nothing to do with my wanting to get along any more than it does with my wanting to get along with Larry Flint. When I say that he has a right to publish Hustler, we're talking about basic constitutional rights that if we allow a government entity to take that away from one person or one entity, they will have the power to take it away from the rest of us. And so I'm not really making a judgment on this mosque per se, or even who's behind it, because that's irrelevant. And people talk, well, this is they're going to name it Cordova, and it's going to or Cordoba, or whatever it is they name.
Cordoba,
yeah, that means victory in the enemy's eyes.
Cordoba is a center of the Moorish learning way back.
But whatever it means, it's irrelevant whether you're for or against this mosque.
And we're just given. You mean you just want me to give up a little bit of freedom in the name of security?
Right. The old Benjamin Franklin thing.
I believe there's a quote about that somewhere.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin. And that's the thing. I mean, we're going to say, well, because we don't like this, then we're going to stop this because we don't like the motivation of who may be behind it. What we do is we wait and see what they do once they get this thing built. And if, in fact, they do get it built and they start running terrorists out of it, then we close it down.
I have a good friend of mine who's still in the special operations field. We were discussing this. And he said that, I've killed more men than you know on a first-name basis, and most of them were Muslims, but I haven't got a thing against Muslims. It just so happens that the people I was required to deal with were Muslims.
Right. Doesn't mean they're all bad.
Yeah, and 10 years before that, they were all, communists, or they were all fill in the blank.
Right.
I'm not fighting the mindset. I'm fighting the mindset of your religion. You can have your religion. All I want you to do is have your religion and not try to impose it on us and not try to harm anyone.
Right.
As long as you don't try to harm anyone, it'll all be good. But if you start coming on saying you're going to take our freedoms and you're going to harm people, I'm going to have to send you back to God so you can relook the whole issue.
And then when we oppose something like a mosque, which we have, I would think, probably thousands of them across the country, we oppose this. We play into the hands of the terrorists who say, see, they're just trying to shut down your religion.
Right, exactly. And now, mind you, Muhammad ran weapons out of his mosques, and they always have. It's a tradition. And
now they start doing that here, and we close them down.
Right, and if a Muslim lies to a non-believer according to the religion, it's okay because you're just lying to a non-believer. So, cross my heart and hope to die doesn't mean anything.
But do you think you don't think the whole of Islam, the whole religion, that all Muslims are secretly plotting to kill us all, or do you?
No, I do not.
Okay.
However, you have to take that little fact in there in the story.
Yeah, you got to be watching, folks.
Right. The guy Muhammad sent somebody off to another village to try to convert them, and they got very mad at him and said, "You're one of Muhammad's followers." And he said, "Oh, heck no. Yes, you are. We're going to kill you." "No, heck no, I'm not." And he came back there and said to us, "Hey, boss, I had to say, I'm not one of your followers." He said, "Oh, yeah, that's cool. They're just non-believers."
Right, right.
And so, yeah, go ahead and lie to them all you need to, just so long as you accomplish what we need. And so it's, people roll that in as, well, you can't trust no Muslims. None of them can be trusted.
Right.
And you're sitting here going, guy, if a quarter of the world's population happens to adhere to a certain religion, there's probably a substantial percentage of them that are average Joes.
Yep, and don't want any trouble.
And don't want any trouble and don't want any part of it. The problem we get into is the folks that are considered, quote, moderate Muslims were celebrating after 9/11 happened.
And that's a troublesome thing. There's no doubt. And it bothers me. But yeah, we get back to the basic thing of the mosque. We have to separate all that. This is a house of worship. You cannot be banning a house of worship just because you don't like their religion.
Hey, I got entirely too many holes in me over issues like that to want to ban anybody's religion.
Right.
I think it's too important for me to be able to call you up and say, "Phil, I think that guy's a crackpot," or "Phil, I think this is the way we should be going." To want to sacrifice that, this is all part of the First Amendment, religion and freedom of speech and assembly and all that all goes together. I don't want to sacrifice any of that just because some crackpots are planning on building what some people perceive to be a 9/11 victory mosque. And it very well may be. And the first service they may hold there may just be celebrating 9/11. And you know what? As despicable as that may be, that's their right.